Okay, Geeta Dhyanam. O Bhagavad Gita, by which Arjuna was illumined by Lord Krishna himself, and which was composed of 18 chapters within the Mahabharata by the ancient sage Vyasa. O Divine Mother, destroyer of rebirth, who showers the nectar of oneness upon us, O Bhagavad Gita, my affectionate mother, on thee I meditate. All the Upanishads are the cows. The milker is the cowherd boy, Krishna. Arjuna is the calf. People of purified intellect are the drinkers. And the milk is the supreme nectar of the Gita. My salutations to the Lord, who is the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the mute eloquent and the crippled cross mountains. Hari Om Tat Sat. We'll pick up with our dear friend Swami Chinmayananda this morning. So field and the knower of the field. It's incredible, it's amazing how this knowledge seems so far away from us when it's who we are. So, but this verily is what is to be known, is what is this field and who is the knower of the field. And so we continue.
What's sloka, Swamiji?
Sorry?
What's sloka, please?
14, we'll pick up at 14.
Oh.
So, describing Brahman, or the Purusha, the highest, the absolute, the infinite. With hands and feet everywhere, with eyes, heads, and mouths everywhere, with ears everywhere, he exists in the world, enveloping all. See if in listening to that, does it sound like Krishna is saying, I am these hands and feet everywhere? And it's not what he's saying, is it?
No.
With hands and feet
Utilizes.
everywhere, yeah. So again, speaking of the field and the instruments, but not saying, I am this. So now we get to what is this field? We're coming to what is this field. We come to the yoga of the three gunas soon. And how it is that the field itself is constructed. But if we catch what's being shared, again, and then another question. With hands and feet everywhere, with eyes, heads and mouths everywhere, with ears everywhere, he exists in the world and yet enveloping all. So both, it says, in, but also enveloping. You understand the word enveloping? Like envelope, the container of all, but also existing in it. So, then, just from a practical sense, how to find God. Anybody can speak for a moment. Listening to what we're hearing here.
Find it within and without.
Within and without.
Yes.
Within and without. Beautiful, yeah. And how to find without?
To see it in everything.
See it in everything, but not as everything.
Oh.
See everything with the proper knowledge.
Yeah, to see it in everything, but not as everything. That's sometimes the Vedic tradition, the teachings religious teachings will look to Western minds as being polytheistic, as everything is God. But that's never what's being said.
God is within them.
It's being said God can be found in everything because God is the source of everything. And so if you follow anything to its depth, you'll find at the center of it the absolute, the one absolute. If you go within yourself to the center, you find the one absolute. If you look at an object and go to its source, you'll find the one absolute.
The mailbox.
The closet.
You peel away the unreal, Hari, and what remains is the real.
Yes.
You peel away the illusory, the name and the form. You know, we have this experience of beauty. It's a very interesting subject to work with, very interesting subject to work with. Beauty. If you look deeply enough, if you peel away enough layers, you'll always get to the beauty.
Oh.
That's Ananda. That is Ananda. That is Ananda. Ananda doesn't just mean bliss from an internal sense or an experiential sense. It's also referring to a quality, which is beauty. In other words, there's nothing here that if you go deeply enough, you can't find the beauty.
Nothing.
Look at the atoms sparking and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh?
It's fine.
You go deep enough and you'll see it. In every single thing, garbage pile, it doesn't make any difference. You go deep enough and you'll see it. We get stuck in the field. Huh? Identified as the field. But this is, and by the way, this is it. This is really it. This is what sadhana is all about. It's just like Paramahansa Yogananda says that we have here, it's constant practice of the presence of God in every moment.
Yes.
If you're not practicing this, then it's a moment wasted.
The highest name.
Really, you practice it in meditation, and you practice it in karma yoga. You practice it in bhakti yoga. Right?
And there aren't many seconds to waste.
Yeah, it's the only practice there is. Because otherwise we're honoring something illusory, unreal. So really it comes to this.
Oh, it's just funny when you said, even in a dumpster, because that reminds me of dumpster diving, which I've done in many times. And I still have a piece of glass that I use as a tool for my clay. And it's a beautiful piece of glass from a chandelier.
Beautiful. Oh,
Don't do that.
and even the stuff you set aside, the beauty's still in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Even though we missed it. Even though we didn't see it. We didn't see it just because we weren't looking deeply enough. So with hands and feet everywhere, with eyes, heads, and mouths everywhere, with ears everywhere, right? Not saying I am all of these, although in a different way that's said, but that has to be said along with the discussion of Prakriti and what is this Prakriti and where does Prakriti come from and what is the nature of the lower nature. Oh dear.
Yes, I just wanted to add the same with people. That's my practice right now, to see the God in the
Oh my
people
goodness, every single person. You touch that and they sparkle, they glow.
Yeah.
We got to see that over the weekend, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't deal with the layers, and because if you're wrapped up in the layers, the veiling, the names and the forms, the story and all of that, then judgment arises. And as soon as someone feels judged, then everything closes down and you can't see it. You can't see it yourself feeling judged, and you can't see it in another. But if you touch that, then you always find the beauty.
Even
Ananda.
even with the people I have had troubles with.
Of course, especially, yeah. That's where the practice is. That's where the practice is. The practice is not as efficacious when we're only dealing with the things we like, because then we get stuck still in the field, imagining the beauty to exist in the field, but the beauty is transcendent. The beauty is transcendent. The beauty is always shining. We may see it, we may not see it. And this is why many of the saints and such will talk about having had these visions where everything sparkles and glows, and in a way it remains, because the beauty is known to be in every object. Behind every eye is the one, is the eye. Behind every EYE is the I, the one, the absolute.
And how do you experience when you do a lot of meditation and then you come out and everything is beautiful? And
Yes.
the colors are like standing out.
Yes.
Like same as when you're taking some psychedelic drug or something like that.
Yes.
And then everything is
Yes.
vibrating and alive. And
Yes. And that's because since you've gone within to a deeper level, now you're seeing without at a deeper level
right.
as well. Oh, exactly, indeed. Beautiful,
And
thank
then
you.
people are like, why are you glowing?
Yes. So are you, my dear. Here, let me see if I can be a benefit.
So are you.
Little things conversationally. So you ask someone how they are, they say, I'm great. You say, yes, you really are.
Yeah.
And something sparks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So here, Swamiji talks about the languaging of this, and on the next shloka as well, which is very significant. With hands and feet everywhere, he says, it's easier to describe an unmanifest power for the comprehension of students of lesser caliber when the unknown principle is defined in terms of the known. As we're dealing with an unknown principle, so here what's being shared is in relationship. So you know a hand. Okay, fine. Now know that that hand is my hand and I am inside that hand. And I am the one for whom the hand grasps. I am the observer of the grasping, even. He says, though the hands and legs of living creatures are made up of inert matter, they seem to be quite conscious and vital in their movements. This principle of consciousness functioning behind them everywhere is one and the same self. And again, what we're dealing with is so odd. And as we really start to get it, it seems so odd. And then we say, this is you, my dear Lord. This too is you. But the evidence is here, and we keep looking because there's one life pulsing through all of this. Right? Isn't it interesting how it seems like it's separate life? Interesting, yes? But then if you actually look, you see, but it's the same life. There's one life, and one life pulsing through all.
Interesting how strong the pull towards seeing, continuing to see as separate.
Yeah, there's an active force within intentionally pulling us away
What is
from
that?
what's here, Maya. It's not a problem. It's also the Lord. It's grace.
In Christian, they call it the devil. They forget that that's also grace.
That's also grace. That's also grace.
Educated.
Also grace. Oh.
I was just saying,
But then the joy of unveiling it.
Yes.
it
Yes.
seems
Well,
like life, you can see it in others and in yourself. Their movements, everything flows effortlessly. And you see the grace in the movements.
Yeah.
You know, and then speech. And
We
when
as
there's no barriers.
As we come to see.
Yes.
Yeah, as we come to see. And yet it seemed as if that was not the case.
Oh, because
It seems as if that's not the case.
Yeah.
Oh,
Little self.
because of this avidya, this primal nescience. Okay, so this principle of consciousness functioning behind them all is one and the same self. Every eye, head, and mouth functions in the world because of that life that pulsates through it. You know, we get this in the Upanishads, and Hari, I think maybe of the group, just you and I have stepped through Isha Upanishad together. And here, that applies to what we're saying here. Not, for example, the eye. Not what is seen, but what is seeing. Right? The nose. Not what is smelled, but what is smelling. And this is this bug that's planted in us, bug, Maya bug, love bug, that's planted in us to bring awareness out. So until we sit and actually contemplate and slow ourselves down and consider what's being shared and then practice it, it seems that this awareness is always just going out. It's only going forward in time. It's only going out in space. It's only continuing to manifest more ideas, more thoughts, more work. So that by the time you get close to the end of this birth, you're just absolutely exhausted because there's still so much to do. So always out, never in, never contemplating the nature of what is seeing. But that's the great mystery and the great question. Not what am I seeing, but who is seeing?
Oh. That is a great question.
Not what am I seeing? Not I'm seeing a bookmark. Who is seeing this bookmark?
So.
And then look at this intellect. You know, it's as if we are rays of awareness because truly we're aware. Look at the intellect. Look at the decision process. Do you observe the decision process? Are you aware of yourself making choices?
Oh.
Sometimes.
Observing. Yes.
Yeah. So it's as if a ray of awareness, aware of everything that's going on in this mind,
Yeah.
aware of all of the activities here. You know, when we say, where is God? Where is God? Where is this highest? It's going to have to be found there in the I that is aware. And everything simply needs to be stripped away. But I am seeing, even though often I'll get caught up in it, right? But you can reflect on it and you can say, well, I chose this. So you have awareness that you're not the intellect. So this was evaluated, and then I chose, and now you can reflect back on it.
Who chose?
So
Okay.
more and more you have the ability to see these processes in the field occurring and to recognize that you are not those processes. You and your dream, you hit it on the nail of the head. And these realizations, you don't want to lose them. So 2 different intellects, one in the dream, one in waking state. Who sees that? Who recognizes the difference between the two? You would be wrong if you said anything other than I do. So which intellect is recognizing it? The waking state intellect or the dream state intellect?
It feels that it still come from the intellect, those things, but they don't.
Yeah. So that's this, it's almost inextricable. It's so tightly identified. Awareness, this ray of awareness, which I am, is so tightly identified with something in the field, always something in the field, always grasping. But in fact, it's possible to work out, but I can't be that. And that's intellect, recognizing that, which is fine. That's called enlightenment. I can't be that. I have to be the awareness itself. I have to be pure awareness. That's the jnana path. Of course, bhakti, the more we tune this mental instrument to the light, to the absolute, then the more the light pervades the instrument. The more the light pervades the instrument, and the instrument doesn't wander as much. That's what you were observing with the mantra. It doesn't wander off into the dirty fields quite as much. We say dirty fields. Just the fields that if you grasp the stuff in some of the fields, you go down.
Right, emotional feelings.
As if you go down. You're never other than soul, but who are we talking to? We talk both to the souls and we talk to the intellect, the conscious mind. So one more. Shining by the functions of all the senses, yet without the senses. Unattached, yet supporting all, devoid of qualities, yet their experiencer. Swamiji adds this, which is helpful, and might give us a frame of reference. He says, one of the ways of defining the indefinable supreme, the subject in the seeker himself, is to indicate it in a language of contradiction, which, without confusing the intellect, tickles the intellect to a special kind of activity, thereby facilitating the realization of the eternal. The special activity we can call meditation or contemplation. If you hear what's being said, shining by the functions of the senses, yet without the senses, is not a normal conversational approach. Normally, conversationally, we say it's this. But here it's not saying it's this. A clue is being given that allows us to contemplate and do this tickling, as it were, and see if something clicks. Shining by the functions of all the senses. Doesn't say it is the senses, right? Shining by the functions of the senses, yet without the senses. Continuing. Unattached, yet supporting all. Unattached, yet supporting all. So, not attached to what's happening here, not affected by what's happening here, but supporting all of it.
Swami, the movie projector screen really comes to mind with all of this.
Yeah, it does. You want to speak to it?
Well, for every aspect of it, the movie projector screen contains infinite number of rays that are all shining out, creating this one image.
Yes.
And we're each attaching to one of the rays.
Yes.
Which, but each ray, any individual ray can take you back to the projector screen.
Yes.
And then you recognize you are the projector shining forth all.
And you recognize you are the light. Yeah. Yeah. That the ray itself has no reality other than the light. So, unattached yet supporting all, devoid of qualities yet their experiencer. So again, pointing to Purusha, the I, the great I, the subject, the absolute Brahman. So these are, Nathan, for you today, take a picture with your phone of this shloka, and during the day, pull it out from time to time and look at it and read it and just allow yourself to contemplate it a bit. Don't try to understand it in every detail. Just allow the contemplation to happen and see what happens. Tickling the conscious mind, the intellect. Here. I can do part of this for you.
You can
But only
book
part.
it and I can come back to it.
But only part. No, we're going to do this part of it. And we'll do the part about sending it to you, but you have to do the contemplation and the pulling it out during the day. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we come back there tomorrow morning. And for anyone that wants to pick this up, or this particular shloka, if you want to work with it today, we have, as you know, a couple of copies of this Holy Gita in the library. So you can pick it up at some point and read. It's page 787, 16th shloka of the field in its knower. And he gives a beautiful commentary to break it down to help in that tickling process. Okay. When we've mastered this, when we've come to master it, and it's intellectual mastery, but of course the intellectual mastery is only possible because of the light. Because you are the light. That's the only reason it's possible. But intellectual mastery of this is possible, to recognize what's being meant here and to see God everywhere. It is absolutely possible here. It's a practice. And each and every one here can do it. Can do it. And you won't be looking for a special vision anymore because you'll say, I see you all the time. Oh.
So I wanted to share a prayer I learned yesterday.
Yes, please do.
It's the prayer of Saint Patrick.
Yes.
I take for my sureties the power of God to guide me, the mind of God to uphold me, the wisdom of God to teach me, the eye of God to watch over me, the word of God to guide me, give me speech, the way of God to go before me, the shield of God to shelter me. Christ is with me, Christ before me, Christ within me, Christ at my right, Christ at my left, Christ in my heart of every man who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of every man who speaks up to me, Christ in every eye that sees me.
Sounds familiar?
Yeah.
You'll send that out to us, please,
Right.
this morning on
Yes.
WhatsApp, okay?
And the last one. This one is a serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes. Beautiful. Please, the first one in particular, send us. Okay. All right, let's close with final prayers in RT, page 174. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritat Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Orvai Rukameva Bandhanan Mritor Mokshiyama Mritat Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Shantu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyanto Makashi Dukkha Bhave Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. O adorable Lord of mercy and love, salutations and prostrations unto thee. Thou art omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscient. Thou art Satchidananda. Thou art existence, knowledge, and bliss absolute. Thou art the indweller of all beings. Grant us an understanding heart, equal vision, balanced mind, faith, devotion, and wisdom. Grant us inner spiritual strength to resist temptation and to control the mind. Free us from egoism, lust, anger, greed, hatred, and jealousy. Fill our hearts with divine virtues. Let us behold thee in all these names and forms. Let us serve thee in all these names and forms. Let us ever remember thee. Let us ever sing thy glories. Let thy name be ever on our lips. Let us abide in thee forever and ever. On below Satguru Shivananda Maharaj Ki, and for all of the saints and sages of all the traditions. Jai. Okay, that's right, it's for RT.